The night shift caller. I worked the night shift at a 24-hour convenience store. Empty streets, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, aisles quiet except for the faint hum of the fridge. It's always been mundane, lonely, predictable, until the calls started. The first night, the phone rang at 2:03 a.m. I froze, glancing at the line. Nobody ever calls this late. My fingers hovered before picking up. A faint, raspy whisper answered. "I see you." Static crackled, then silence. I laughed nervously, convincing myself it was a prank, maybe a wrong number. But the voice lingered in my mind long after the line went dead. A cold draft swept through the store, though every door was locked, every window sealed. The next night, the call came again. Same time, same whisper. "I see you." Louder this time. I looked around the empty aisles. Nothing moved. The security cameras above flickered briefly, a shadow moving too fast to catch. On the instant I blinked. I tried ignoring it. The next call arrived at 1:47 a.m., just as I was counting inventory. This time, the voice whispered my name. Clear, deliberate, impossibly close. I dropped the clipboard. A soft tapping echoed from the ceiling, like someone pacing above. By the fourth night, the calls became more precise. They described my actions before I even made them. Which aisle I would check, what I would pick up, even which soda I would grab from the cooler. The store had become a stage for someone unseen. I installed a second phone, thinking maybe the line was hacked. Both phones rang simultaneously at 2:03 a.m., whispers echoing from both. I held the receiver close, trembling, heart racing, recognizing that whatever was on the other end was in control, always one step ahead. The fluorescent lights began flickering. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the floor. A cold draft followed me, rushing past the shelves, but the doors remained locked. Every step I took echoed louder, in rhythm with my own heartbeat. And then, perfectly in sync, the voice whispered again. One night, I dared to record the call. Playback revealed more than static. Faint scratching, almost like nails on metal, followed by whispers mimicking my own words. The voice repeated actions I hadn't yet taken. It didn't just observe, it predicted, anticipated, knew me. I tried to leave early. The door stuck. Lights flickered violently. The back room felt alive, air thick, heavy, almost solid. Every surface reflected shadows moving independently. The camera feeds, usually reassuring, displayed nothing, but a faint figure hovered behind the shelves, just out of clear view. The calls intensified. Now they came at irregular intervals, describing actions I hadn't planned, predicting movements I hadn't considered. I realized the entity or person was cataloging everything. My habits, my fears, my every reaction. Resistance only made it more precise. One night, I confronted it. I answered the phone immediately, trembling. "Who is this?" The line went silent, then a whisper. "Behind you." I spun. A shadow stretched across the aisle, impossibly long, disappearing when the light flickered. I backed away, heart racing. Packages began arriving at the store, unmarked. Small, innocuous items, batteries, cleaning supplies, receipts for items I never sold. I dared not touch them. Each seemed like a warning, a reminder that the caller had access, reach, and awareness beyond comprehension. Sleep became impossible. Even off shift, I felt followed. Shadows lingered at my apartment window. Lights flickered when I approached the door, and faint whispers repeated my words, my thoughts, even my fears before I could vocalize them. At 1:47 a.m. exactly, every night, the store transformed. Shelves seemed closer, the aisles narrower, the hum of lights louder, each flicker timed to my heartbeat. The phone rang, the whisper returned, always predicting the next movement, always in control. I tried to leave the city. Even miles away, at a motel, The calls continued. Same raspy whisper, same timing. Distance did not matter. Awareness had followed, tracking, cataloging, observing, waiting. It thrived on attention, on fear, on acknowledgement of its presence. I began recording myself, narrating every night. Playbacks revealed impossible distortions. Shadows moving independently, lights shifting in impossible ways. Reflections of myself doing actions I had not performed. The caller was everywhere, always learning, always cataloging. The final escalation came last week. I answered the call on a dare, trembling. "I'm done. Leave me alone." The line went silent. Then laughter soft, distorted, impossible echoing from every corner of the store simultaneously. The lights flickered violently, shadows stretching across every surface. I barricaded the doors. I covered every reflective surface. But I could feel it, patient, eternal, cataloging every heartbeat, every breath, every hesitation. Awareness does not need to act to dominate. It simply waits, and I cannot ignore it. If you ever hear whispers on the line at night, feel shadows moving independently, or notice your own actions predicted before they occur, beware. Open the horror box cautiously and subscribe before curiosity draws attention from the unseen. I now write this under dim light, phone in hand, recording every sound, every shadow. The night shift has changed me. I am no longer the observer. I am cataloged. I am counted. And the caller is patient, eternal, watching. The voice behind the camera. I work the night shift at a small city convenience store, the kind that hums with fluorescent lights and emptiness. Doors lock at midnight, aisles echo with every footstep, and the security cameras are my only companions until the voice started. It began subtly, a faint static over the intercom at 2:07 a.m. At first, I thought it was interference. Then a whisper, "I'm watching you." My pulse spiked. I checked the cameras. Nothing moved. Every aisle empty. Every shelf untouched. The next night, the intercom crackled again. This time, it knew my name. "Alex," it hissed softly. I spun toward the back door, flashlight shaking, expecting a prank, an employee maybe, but the parking lot was empty. Silence pressed against the glass. By the third night, the voice described my actions before I performed them. Counting inventory, reaching for a soda, wiping a counter. Every movement cataloged, narrated, anticipated. My reflection in the metal shells trembled as if confirming the truth. I tried calling the police. They arrived, skeptical, checking every inch. "Nothing here," they said. But by the time they left, the voice had whispered into my ear through the intercom. They didn't see me. I did. My skin crawled, hair standing on end. On the fourth night, the cameras began flickering. Static frames displayed impossible angles. Aisles stretching longer than possible. Shadows moving independently. Glimpses of someone standing just out of frame. And always, the whispering voice narrating my every breath. Packages appeared at the counter. Unmarked, minimal, each containing only a small metallic object. A key, a coin, a piece of wire. When I touched them, the intercom buzzed. "Thank you. You noticed." Observation was no longer passive. It was testing me, baiting my attention. I tried leaving early. Lights flickered violently. Doors locked themselves. The PA system crackled, a distorted voice mocking my panic. "Going somewhere?" It hissed. I backed away, heart hammering, realizing the building itself had become part of the observation, alive with awareness. Recording my shifts revealed horrors I couldn't explain. Shadows stretching impossibly long. Reflections showing me reaching for items I never touched. Aisles bending, lights dimming in perfect rhythm with my heartbeat. The voice cataloged every fear, every hesitation, every blink. I considered quitting, but even outside, in my apartment, faint whispers followed me. My phone would ring at 2:07 a.m. every night. A low, raspy voice repeating my actions, anticipating my movements. Distance did not break its attention. It was everywhere I existed. I stayed later one night, determined to confront it. I answered the intercom firmly. "Who are you?" Silence. Then, behind you. I spun, flashlight slicing the darkness. The aisles were empty, yet the shadow moved independently across the floor, always just out of reach. Sleep became impossible. Every sound, every flicker of light, every faint rustle of paper echoed in my mind. I began documenting everything. Timestamps, camera footage, whispers, reflections. Playback revealed details I had not noticed. My own movements mirrored, delayed, cataloged with precision. The climax came last week. I answered the call immediately, voice shaking. "I'm done. Leave me alone." Static filled the intercom, growing louder, sharper, until the voice split into hundreds of whispers, echoing in every corner. Lights pulsed in rhythm with my terrified heartbeat. I barricaded myself in the back room, phone in hand, trembling. The camera feed showed my own reflection, standing outside the room, smiling, hands reaching, yet I knew it wasn't me. It was everywhere, learning, cataloging, feeding on attention, thriving on fear. If you ever hear whispers on the intercom at night, feel shadows moving independently, or notice reflections acting of their own accord, beware. Open the horror box carefully, and if you want to witness the unseen before it finds you, subscribe. I now work my shift in silence, lights dimmed, eyes glued to cameras, every movement cataloged, every breath observed. Awareness does not rest. Resistance only sharpens its attention. And I know the voice is patient, eternal, and always watching. The janitor's shadow. I stayed late at the office every night, filing reports and catching up on paperwork while the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The building was supposed to be empty. The cleaning crew had left hours ago, yet something moved in the shadows. At first, I assumed it was exhaustion, my imagination playing tricks, but the shadow didn't behave like a normal reflection. It followed my movements, slightly delayed, precise, impossibly patient, like it had been waiting for months just to watch me. One night, I set up my phone to record the empty office. The next morning, playback revealed a dark figure gliding between cubicles, invisible to my eyes. Its movements mirrored mine exactly, cataloging every action, every breath, every hesitation I had made. I tried ignoring it. I walked through the office calmly, pretending nothing existed. But every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of light, felt deliberate. The shadow was patient, waiting for moments of fear to sharpen, learning to anticipate my reactions with unnerving precision. Notes began appearing on my desk. Printed, blank, cryptic. "I am here. Do not leave. I watch you." Fear pulled in my chest. The messages were not random. They reflected my thoughts, my movements, my routines, showing it had already observed far more than I realized. I installed extra cameras, hoping to capture evidence, but the shadow remained invisible to all except playback. Reflections in polished floors, glossy table surfaces, even my phone screen showed it clearly, always mimicking, always one step behind, cataloging my existence with patient attention. Footsteps echoed behind me in the empty hallways. Not fast, not frantic, but deliberate, synchronized with my own heartbeat. I turned corners expecting to see a person, only to find nothing, yet the presence was undeniable, pressing against the edges of my awareness, constant, relentless. The first night I tried leaving early, the elevator stalled. The emergency lights flickered violently, and the shadow appeared in the reflection of the polished metal doors. Impossible, yet real. I backed away slowly, realizing the building itself had become part of its observation, alive with malevolent intent. Sleep became impossible. Even in my apartment, I felt the shadow's presence. Flickering lights, soft creaks, reflections in windows, mirrors, and glossy surfaces showed a dark figure following me. Distance did not matter. Awareness traveled beyond walls, beyond doors, beyond reason. I attempted confrontation. "Who are you?" I shouted into the empty office, trembling. Silence. Then, a faint scratching sound ran along the floorboards, moving in rhythm with my own steps. The shadow mirrored me perfectly, acknowledging my presence without needing to speak. Packages arrived at my desk, unmarked, small, containing objects. A piece of wire, a stapler bent oddly, a key with no lock. The shadow's attention was no longer passive. These items were warnings, tests, reminders that observation had extended beyond passive watching into direct influence. I began documenting everything meticulously: times, movements, shadows, whispers. Playback revealed distortions impossible to explain. Reflections showing actions I had not taken, shadows stretching impossibly long, corners bending subtly as though the building itself was cooperating with the entity. The shadow learned fast. It anticipated every step, every reaction, every glance. Resistance only sharpened its presence. Even when I tried hiding, avoiding mirrors, covering reflective surfaces, it adapted, finding new ways to reflect, to appear, to watch me with silent patience. On the 7th night, the escalation came. The shadow appeared directly behind me in a mirror, smiling faintly, impossibly wide. I froze, breath caught. The lights flickered violently. The PA system crackled, as if the building itself were alive, whispering my thoughts back at me. I barricaded doors, closed windows, covered screens. Yet I could feel it, patient, eternal, cataloging every heartbeat, every breath, every hesitation. Awareness does not require physical form to dominate. It thrives on attention, thrives on fear, thrives on acknowledgement. If you notice shadows moving independently, reflections acting of their own accord, or whispers repeating your thoughts, be cautious. Open the horror box carefully. And if you want to witness the unseen before it notices you, subscribe. Curiosity can make you a target. I now sit at my desk, dim lights on, phone recording every sound, every creak, every flicker. The shadow moves silently behind walls, mirrors, polished floors, and glossy screens. Every movement cataloged, every blink counted. Awareness never rests, and I am already part of its observation. The office is quiet again now, but I know it is waiting. Patient, eternal, learning. It does not need to act to dominate. It only needs to watch, and I am too afraid to stop it. The last customer. The store was quiet as usual. Empty shelves reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights. My shift was supposed to be uneventful, the slow hum of the registers my only company. But at exactly 2:17 a.m., the door chimed. I turned, expecting the wind or a stray delivery, but no one was there. Just shadows. The bell chimed again, faint but distinct, followed by the soft echo of footsteps along the linoleum floor, deliberate, slow, matching the rhythm of my heartbeat. At first, I assumed someone had slipped in. I called out, voice shaking. "Hello? Anyone there?" Silence. Then the air grew cold, heavy, pressing against me like unseen hands, and the faint sound of breath echoed from the dark aisles. I flicked on the aisle lights. Everything appeared normal. No customers, no sign of intrusion. Yet the registers normally silent-clicked on and off, displaying items I had not scanned, prices changing in ways impossible to explain. By the third night, the incidents escalated. Shelves shifted subtly when I wasn't looking. Lights flickered in rhythm with my movements. The soft hum of the refrigerators carried whispers repeating my thoughts, anticipatory, deliberate, as if someone or something was learning me. I tried ignoring it. I focused on stock, inventory, cleaning. But the door kept chiming, faint, irregular. Each time I glanced at the cameras, I saw fleeting shadows, corners bending, figures half-formed, standing just beyond the frame. Many hooks of fear gripped my attention every few minutes. One night, I left a camera rolling in the office. Playback revealed impossible angles. The back aisle stretched unnaturally, shelves moving independently, reflections of myself doing actions I had not performed yet. Every detail catalogued, mirrored, predicted. Notes appeared on the counter, printed, unsigned. You're being watched. Do not turn around. Every move recorded, fear wrapped around me, cold and heavy. The last line was always a reminder that observation was patient, eternal, inevitable. I tried leaving early. Doors stuck. Lights flickered violently. Every attempt to exit seemed to prolong my observation. The intercom crackled with soft whispers, anticipatory, describing actions I had not yet taken. The store itself felt alive, aware of every heartbeat. Packages began appearing near the registers. Receipts with impossible totals, small object skis, coins, strange pieces of wire. Each was a reminder that the entity was real, tangible in effect, even if invisible in form, feeding on fear and attention alike. I began recording myself, narrating each shift. Playback revealed details I hadn't noticed. Shadows stretching along walls, aisles appearing longer than possible, reflections of the last customer standing motionless at the end of the store, just out of reach. Sleep became impossible. Even at home, I felt followed. Shadows moved in my apartment at night. Lights flickered in rhythm with my heartbeat, and faint whispers repeated my words before I could speak. Awareness did not respect distance. The final escalation came on my 7th night. The door chimed at 2:17 a.m. again. I answered. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, a distorted voice, impossibly close, whispered, "The last customer is always waiting." The lights flickered violently. Shadows stretched across every aisle. I barricaded the doors, covered reflective surfaces, and tried to avoid the aisles. Yet I could feel it, patient, eternal, cataloging every heartbeat, every blink, every hesitation. Resistance sharpened its presence. Attention only strengthened its hold. If you ever notice doors opening when no one is there, shadows moving independently, or whispers predicting your actions, beware. Open the horror box carefully. And if you want to witness the unseen before it finds you, subscribe. I sit now in the dimly lit office, phone recording every sound, every flicker, every shadow. The last customer never leaves. It catalogs every action, every fear, every hesitation. Awareness does not rest, and I am already counted.